Alright, so today I'm going to make a little tutorial video on how to open up an Xbox 360 controller. All you need is a Torx screwdriver, which you can pick up on Amazon for maybe $2-3, and obviously an Xbox 360 controller. So, I'm going to go to the back. What you're going to want to do right off the bat is find the middle screw. This is going to be covered by an Xbox 360 sticker. What you're going to want to do is find the tip of it and break the sticker. I already have done it. Just a word for everybody out there that it will void the warranty. So if you have bought a controller that you still have under warranty, don't expect them to take it back. As soon as this is broken, it is completely voided out. So use this at your own risk. So anyway, there are 7 screws on the controller, 3 on each side and 1 in the middle, as I explained. So what you're going to want to do is unscrew all of these. Gotten them pretty loose already. One of the best things about the Torx screwdriver is that the tip is magnetic, so you don't have to worry about screws getting stuck in the controller or anything like that. Alright, 4 to go. Trickiest thing about getting the screws out for the most part is them getting stuck, so if they do, just take the controller and tip it over. Most of the times, if you've unscrewed them, good majority of the way, they will, find their way out, no problem. Alright. And last one. Okay, so this is going to be the most important thing. What you want to do is you want to slowly pry the controller open a little bit. From there, you're going to be very careful in getting the triggers, grabbing the triggers and trying to split them from the base of the controller, like so. So, got the back plate down, leave that over there. So now you're going to be left with this. As you can see, my controller already has a mod, and as soon as I flip this over, I'll explain a little bit more about it. But the best thing to do right away is to put it on its back, on its front, and take the rumble packs out. This way you don't run into any problems or them, hitting anything. And grab this motherboard and simply pry it up. Now you may think that you're going to do harm to it, but you probably won't. It's very solid. So this is the motherboard that you will be left with. The front, by keeping it on its side, on this side, excuse me, will minimize anything with the buttons falling apart or anything like that. So what you're going to want to do is find each of these little holes right here on the mod kit. Depending on which one you buy, chances are it will come with instructions. I did this one myself, so you're going to want to find these 2 spots. These are the main command controls for the 360 controller, as well as this module piece right here. And it's going to run to the back of the controller, and from there it's going to run to this little ohm resistor. The ohm resistor is basically the best way to keep electricity from flowing in and out of the controller without overheating it or anything like that, which will happen with a modded controller. So there are tons of different ways that you can do these to get certain functions from your mods. The best way that I like to do it is the way I've done it. It gives me a rapid fire mod, which is a 7-speed, and they can always be bought separately and things along the lines of that. So if you want to do modifications, these pop off just as easy as they go on. PS3 analog sticks do fit on these as well. Triggers, very difficult on modded controllers to take out because there is the resistor that runs through. If you want to do this before, you can definitely get as stylish as you want, and you can change everything around like that. So, that put aside, bring it to the front of the controller. It's going to be the D-pad, which has a rubber piece to keep it in place, as well as a screw, I believe, in the newer controllers. This one has it as well. There are 2 screws in here that keep it together, if you want to replace that. There is the D-pad rubber pieces, which have the buttons in them, which do go in specifically in order. So no matter what buttons you use, they will be coded to, not coded, but they'll fit into either side that they need to be. You can't be able to put the A at the Y or anything like that. These are the triggers, which also have the connection piece, which is very important on modern controllers. Sometimes it bounces out, which mine has a couple of times. Again, this is also due for simple modifications that you want to make to the controller, really up to you. And then, like I said, the buttons, which take out, fall out very easily. So you're left with that. And then the LED inside, this can be changed for multiple colors. All these can be ordered on Amazon and things like that. Very cheap, maybe $2-3, for an LED. Maybe $4 for the batteries. Sometimes you can get ones that actually run throughout the whole controller and change different colors. That's where the batteries would come along, so that'd be another solder to the motherboard. Buttons, pretty much everything is customizable on an Xbox 360 controller because they've been out for a while. The D-pad is as well. So, with all that being said, I'm going to put this baby back together, and hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial. I'll show you the finished project after I put everything back. I'll show you simply the best way to do it. Like I said, these buttons fall into place, if you can see that. There are these little slots that don't allow the button to go in any way but that way. So clearly this is a smaller piece, so I'm going to try to put it in and it won't fit. So all you have to do is flip it up and it goes right in. This is pretty much a foolproof way. Right here again, you can't put it any other way except for the way it's supposed to go in, which is very helpful when you're trying to mod these controllers and things like that. This button as well, clearly can't put it in upside down, it only fits a specific way. That fits like that. Goes in through here. Buttons, same thing, the same pieces, if you can see that. Spin it around, fits in. That fits. Now you will notice that after a certain amount of time that you do this, it just becomes very natural. Like I said, when you get acquainted with the underpiece, as well as the triggers, as well as the bumpers and such, everything just becomes very easy to put back together, so there really isn't anything to worry about as far as breaking the controller. After it's apart, even though you have voided the warranty, there's really nothing that you can do to the controller other than actually break it yourself that is really going to do any harm to it. So again, these hook on to the little hinges, and put this piece back so that nothing falls out. And that can be the hardest part. That's why I said keep it on its belly. This way it doesn't fall out, because if you have buttons scattered everywhere, it's kind of hard to keep everything in place. This does go on here. Push that down. Alright, so the best way to put the controller back together after you've done what you've wanted to do as far as your modifications is put the triggers down first. Hold the rumble sticks up. They're going to fit into their little place right here. All you have to do is just fit them in. Move the wires, especially you don't want them to get caught underneath them. That could cause a problem, especially with the mod. I've had plenty of times where I thought the mod was broken and it was just this red or white wire, red or black wire, excuse me, that just kind of fell underneath it. So I want to put on the bottom piece, which goes this way. Again, there is a slot that this slides onto. Pretty difficult to see. Take out this actually, so you guys can see that. This piece down here, this little one right here. As soon as you put that on there, oh, jeez. There we go. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of force to go back in. Alright, so now back to basics. Find those spots, put them in. Push everything together, make sure that the analog sticks did come through fully. that is going to be the #1 problem that most people who start off doing this will run into. Making sure that the triggers are flush, as well as the analog sticks. As you can see, it just needs to be pushed up a little bit, nothing too big. There you go. You almost hear a click when it finally fits in. Sometimes all it needs to be is moved up a little bit, which isn't a big problem. So now this is the biggest part. This way you can continue to use your controller. These coils are going to be a pain in the butt to deal with. What you're going to want to do is take the controller like this, get your fingers underneath it, push the controller flat, make sure everything clicks in, flip it over, make sure all of the buttons work properly, which they do, and then screw this baby back together. So, go through the lengthy process of doing all of this. No specific order is necessary, as long as it gets back in. The one thing that you're going to want to make sure, though, is that it isn't too tight. The controller, if it gets tight, will definitely make a creaking noise when you're screwing them in, screwing the screws in, and it could actually mess with either the performance of the controller, or it could end up breaking something on the motherboard, which, unfortunately, motherboards aren't replaceable, which kind of stinks. So, I mean, don't be afraid to make sure that it's decently tight, but if you start hearing the controller creak, it's definitely a little bit too tight. You can also tell when the controller is finally put together, if there's pieces, kind of sticking out or things like that, that you can always tighten up again. Alright, so, 4 more. I'm not very happy with how that screw went in. Maybe it's a little crooked. There we go. As you can hear that creaking a little bit, it definitely doesn't want to sound like that. I purposely tightened that up a little bit so that you guys could hear it. Definitely try to avoid that sound. Now that is a normal sound. There's nothing to really worry about with that. That's just the plastic giving way, which it should. And finally, the last screw. Now the best thing to do is to grab a battery pack of your choice and try it out, see if it works. If it turns on, then you're good to go. If it doesn't, then you could run into a problem. Go do that right now. Okay. And as you can see, it does turn on, as well as the mod properly working, I believe. Actually, yeah, it's not going to connect to a 360, so, but as you can see right there, as long as that button is working, that's really your biggest problem, especially with the mod, because it does push out the motherboard a little bit. So there you have it. If you need to go back and look at the video and make sure that you're doing everything right, you definitely can, and I hope you enjoyed.